Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, do they know it's Christmas time at all? Joining me today is Dylan Blight.
Who is the proverbial they in this accusation?
I'm pretty sure it's Africans.
Wow.
Yeah.
The gods must be crazy.
Also joining us is Nicholas Pryor.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, fuck me.
Or it could just be any non-Christians. Do they know it's Christmas time at all? Because they're...
Oh. I don't think they do.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. We got a huge, massive show to get into. Dylan, you weren't here last week, and there's two movies I talked about last week that I want to hear your opinions on. Let's start with Creed 2.
Creed 2 was probably the biggest disappointment of the year for me.
Whoa.
Personally. Yeah. And this isn't to say it's particularly a bad movie. I think it's an okay movie, but it's still probably the movie that disappointed me the most out of everything I've watched this year.
Wowzers.
Because I was a big fan of the first Creed, and with Creed 2, they take everything that was good and original and unique and made the original Creed stand out among the Rocky franchise, or even just as a boxing movie, and they put it into a nice bin in the corner, and then they grabbed everything that makes a stereotypical Rocky and or boxing movie, and they used that as the building grounds for Creed 2. And then the only reason it's kind of is upped a little bit is because you do have like Michael B. Jordan and stuff carrying the film, elevating it a little bit. But I think the script was bad and the story was bad, and the cinematography without Ryan Coogler or anyone behind working there with a team to do these really cool shots that we got in the first movie. It's just your stereotypical boxing movie. You know, the first movie did so many cool things, be it the first person view, the one take boxing match. This movie is just your typical cut and shot boxing movie. Character wise, you can tell it has Sylvester Stallone's hand in it, whereas the first one didn't have his involvement in the script at all. And all of a sudden, the second one has way too many Rocky moments, way too many corny lines by Rocky. The film becomes a little bit too heavy on Rocky, whereas he was definitely just a supporting character in the first film, and you can tell that they could have kind of got rid of him if he didn't agree to do it and made this boxing movie anyway. Whereas because Sylvester helped write this one, it leans a little bit too heavily. Yeah, it's a bit too much, and I wasn't that big of a fan. But yeah, I thought when they announced it and they announced he was going to fight, I mental blank on his name now. What is his name? The Russian dude. Anyway,
Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago, thank you. Well, he's going to fight his son. It's like, well, that's a bit of a corny storyline, but, you know, maybe they could pull it off. I don't think they did. I think it's just a corny storyline that they kind of pull together to play on people's nostalgia for the franchise, I suppose, or something.
So since Ivan murdered his dad, did he murder Ivan's son?
Spoilers, no. He does not. I don't know if that's a spoiler or
no
it would be shocking, but...
Surprising.
Yeah.
All right.
So I wasn't a big fan, though.
Well, let's get more upbeat. Let's talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. 9.5 on ExplosionNetwork.com.
That's correct, yeah. I think it's the second best Spider-Man movie.
Ooh.
I think Spider-Man 2 is still takes my position as what I consider to be the best Spider-Man movie, but I would put this just below it. But I think they're completely different movies, and one is focused on one Spider-Man for a start, Peter Parker, and it tells a very intimate story Spider-Man 2 does, and there's not much going on really. It doesn't have 1,001 bad guys and characters and all this sort of stuff. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has six spider people, several villains, several villains, and then obviously it gets a lot wackier with its plot, and the design of the characters in particular is something that you couldn't have done in live action anyway, specifically with the way the inspiration they take for Kingpin, which I can't remember the artist who did that in the comic for the first time, but it's the Kingpin where he's drawn like a
real big and broad.
Yeah.
unrealistic, ridiculously.
Yeah. I
He's
think
humongous.
Tiny head, massive shoulders.
Yeah. But he's like a house just moving along. It's ridiculous. So, but in animation, because of the way the film's stylized, you never really question how silly that is. And if this was live action, it would look obviously quite ridiculous to have someone look like that. Yeah. But I thought all the storylines were great. Miles' story is, of course, the centerpiece of the film, and it's really, really strong. And then the supporting characters who are, so the Spider-Man he mainly works with in the movie, this version of Peter Parker we get, which you can see in the trailer, is like lazier and just hobo
I read
Spider-Man.
that they intended that Peter Parker to be the continuation of Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker.
Yeah, I heard they were going to cast Tobey Maguire.
Oh, really?
Which would have been
Kind
interesting.
of like
I don't think it would have worked as well.
Yeah.
They would have had to, without spoilers, they would have had to change some things about the movie if they did, I feel. Kinda. Maybe. But yeah, that's an interesting Spider-Man. I think he has a cool story, and I briefly talked about it with Ash off the show, obviously, and I was saying how I thought that every character has like some small story. Like obviously the main characters all have arcs, but then each of the other Spider people who come in, which like is it? No, they're all in trailers, right? It's not a spoiler to talk about any of them, is it?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, I believe they're all in the trailers.
I think they're on the trailer. Yeah,
On the posters, everything.
Oh, okay. I honestly was not even sure. See, like even the Wild Spider-Man, for instance, has something of a silly little arc, and then the Japanese anime spider person. What's the official
Penny
name?
Parker / Spider with like
Spider. Yeah.
With
So even that
hash.
character has this tiny little bit of an arc to go through, some emotional, like has an emotional sort of thing. Like everyone has something going on, which I enjoyed. Looks great. Animation makes it stand out from everything, which also just makes you go, why the fuck isn't Sony Pictures putting out better animated films? Because they usually just put out hot garbage, and they've managed to put out this.
Apparently, it takes like 6 times as long to do this.
So
So yeah,
they're getting rewarded for it. Everyone's going, hey Sony, yeah, good job. It's not fucking what was it like? What did they do? Baby, whatever it was called. I can't remember now.
Boss Baby. I don't know. That was
Boss-
DreamWorks.
Was it DreamWorks?
I think they did The Secret Life of Pets.
There you go. I knew it was one of those ones last year.
Yeah, something with an animal.
Something with an animal or some sort in it. Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man's really, 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 really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. Best of the year.
Great soundtrack too.
Great.
Best
yeah,
of the
good.
year.
Yeah.
Jesus, Ash.
I don't know. We'll find out next week. So I was lucky enough to see another couple of movies a little bit early. So I checked out the new Transformers reboots
It's in the same franchise though, isn't it? Like it's not.
It could easily fit in to the Michael Bay.
But Bumblebee's
apparently
a
they're
different car.
planning to reboot it. Yeah, so I
hope
saw
they
Bumblebee. It's probably the best Transformers movie. I have a soft spot for the first one. I enjoy the first one. When we could all tolerate Shia LaBeouf. But this is easily on par. I think it at least has heart, where I don't think anything after the first movie had any sort of emotional through
Found a
line.
Transformer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think if you're an OG fan, you'll be super happy that there's like they're doing the Gen 1 versions of all the Transformers. He's a VW Beetle. Haley Steinfeld does a good job. I mean, she has to carry this movie pretty much because very early on, Bumblebee ends up not being able to talk anymore. So,
Oh shit! Who'd have thought?
I know. I don't know. Yeah, I thought I was gonna love it more. I've seen a lot of praise online, like saying it's easily the best Transformers movie, but
I feel like they're not big
Which
words
isn't hard.
Yeah, I was about to say. Everyone's like,
it's
it's
not a
the
high
best
bar.
Transformers, but it's like, shit, the bar is so high.
yeah.
How was John Cena?
John Cena's solid. He has
He is a very
character
solid
arc.
man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I thought they're finally going to do what he hasn't done in WWE. He's going to be a bad guy, but no, he's sort of, the military guy who's.
He was a heel in WWE.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was when he was the Doctor of Thugonomics or something like that.
No, maybe a little bit. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, there are just moments that are odd. Like, for some reason, she drives to the top of some hill. Like, she used to be a diver until her dad died, and that's the big thing through the whole entire movie, which would be for most people. But she goes to the top of this hill, and all these people are like jumping off, and like she doesn't jump off, and it's like, why'd you even bother going up to this place? Drive up to this soul place that was the sole thing they were doing there. I mean, there was just some weird choices story-wise. But there was a lot of fun stuff. The scene when Bumblebee pretty much destroys their house is quite amusing.
How's the action scenes? Is it still just a bunch of robots?
You can tell what's happening.
Ridiculous. Okay, I'm impressed then. Very good. I might watch
I
it.
don't know if this is spoilery, but the movie starts on Cybertron. So there is like a full-on Transformers, Autobots, Decepticons fight. That is easily I want to say the best Transformers fight scene, purely because I could tell what was happening.
I've only watched the first two Transformers, and then I stopped because I knew they weren't for me. But I love the cartoon, and I love the 80s movie, so...
Yeah.
But I feel like all those movies kind of killed my enthusiasm for hopes of enjoying a live-action Transformers movie ever. But I've liked the look of what I've seen in the trailer, so I might actually check this one out.
Yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you've got any attachment to the Transformers. So I also got to see Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ralph?
Why didn't they call it Wreck-It Ralph 2?
I have no idea.
So pretty much the plot is that Vanellope's arcade machine is broken. So they have to go on the internet to buy a new steering wheel for her machine. Otherwise, her machine will be shipped away and then she won't have a game anymore. So they go on the internet. And I mean, it's fun seeing the internet sort of like being visualized or materialized or envisioned in the way they do in the movie. Like, there's a bunch of birds tweeting about angry cats. Everybody's got their own little avatars that go around, and if they get destroyed, then they lose connection to the internet. I really love the first movie. I think it has a lot of heart. This does not. There seemed to be some sort of character progression. This one, it just seems they go to moment to moment to moment to moment. It's cool. They've got the Disney princess in it. They've got stuff from Disney in there that they haven't revealed in trailers. But I just don't think there's enough connection for me to want to watch it ever again.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. Well, every time you watch a trailer, it kind of just looks like they made a movie out of that one scene where they had Bowser cameo and stuff from the first film. They're like, well, that's what number 2 is now. It's the cameo stuff is the sequel. Whereas when I think about Wreck-It Ralph, I barely think about that scene. I do think about them.
I think that everybody hated on the first film for not having more video game cameos and that sort of thing, I feel like.
I didn't think that when I watched it.
That's what I saw reading reviews and that stuff. People had expectations that it was going to be more cameos and that sort of thing. So they've chucked a whole bunch of cameos into this one. Yeah. But
they went the Ready Player One route.
A little bit.
I brought Wreck-It Ralph 1 on 4K Blu-ray the other week, so I'm keen to rewatch it.
Sound investment.
I feel like it is. I feel like it definitely is. Why you got sarcasm there, Nick?
No
Why
sarcasm.
you got sarcasm?
Just
Deadpan.
because he's a bad
Completely
guy doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Ash.
He just needs to be me. Or I need to be whatever the end of that film was. So, Nick,
Yes,
you watched a movie called Seven Psychopaths.
I did.
I remember seeing this when it first came out. It's got like Sam Rockwell and a bunch of cool people in
Sam
it.
Rockwell, yeah. Colin Farrell, Christopher Walken, Woody Harrelson,
Yeah, what'd you think?
Tom Waits. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's. I think I gave it a 7, but
That's why. It was directed by Martin McDonagh, who did Billboards
3
and
Billboards.
did In Bruges. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of cult status around it, and I think I was bored one day, so I saw it on Netflix, so I chucked it on. But Yeah, I enjoyed it. It seemed very meta to me, I guess. It had its moments. It slowed down quite a bit there. I want to say towards the end of the second, beginning of third act, and it was good for what it was, the independent film it was. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. I'll probably watch it again. It's definitely pretty funny.
Isn't the plot that this guy is just like screenwriter and
Yeah, he's a screenwriter and he's writing a movie about 7 psychopaths and he encounters all these psychopaths. And, yeah.
His two friends kidnap some mobster's dog.
Yeah. So his friend is in this like crime ring where they kidnap dogs and then return them for the ransom money, and then they kidnap a big like mafia boss's dog, which is Woody Harrelson, and then he goes nuts. He's crazy over this dog and starts killing people and going after him to get the dog back.
Cool.
Had you seen it, Dylan?
No, I'm only looking at it right now.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it, but I've never watched it
Yeah.
or looked into it too much, actually.
Yeah.
I think it came up
because I didn't realize who the director... Because Three Billboards I don't love. I thought it was okay. But I really, really like In Bruges. So maybe I have to watch this just to cover that director's track record kind of thing.
I think it came up on my radar when I was looking into a lot of Christopher Walken movies years ago.
Yeah. He knows.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing. I was going to do a Christopher Walken impression, and then I thought better of it. Dylan, looks like you've been trying to catch up on some big name movies from this year that maybe slipped under the radar. You watched Leave No Trace.
Yep. I thought it's one of those movies that if you don't like a movie that doesn't have like a huge plot to it, like it's just a character piece is all it is, you know?
Yeah.
And it's about the actors and it's about a very small story and that's what it is. It's Ben Foster, and this new girl, I don't know if she's been in anything else. I haven't actually double checked, but like the girl who's in it is really, really good. And it's Ben Foster's the dad, and he has his daughter, and they're living in like Central Park in New York. Basically, is what I think it was Central Park, or like a big park in New York, and they're just living out there like illegally. Like you're not allowed to sleep on property or whatever. And the film opens with them. Sorry, no. They're just like homeless, is what it is. You know, and you don't really know why they're homeless or if they've chosen to be homeless or anything like that. And I don't want to give it away because I think like the movie's kind of learning about the characters and the history and all that going on. But basic premise, they're living out there, they're homeless. About 15 minutes into the movie, though, they get sprung by the police and sort of arrested. And the whole movie doesn't suddenly chuck them into prison. But then the movie's about him dealing with the fact he's trying to raise his daughter in this scenario, why'd they get there in the first place, what's his history that led him to that place, the fact his daughter's growing up with him, trying to kind of force a lifestyle on her that she doesn't want to participate in. But I mean, it's really, I thought it was really, really good. It's just acted fantastically. It's directed really, really well, but it is just this character piece. And it's also shot kind of like a doco, I guess. Like it's the way it was shot is at times it kind of looks like someone's just brought a handy cam and they're shooting the scenes. You know, it just looks like something you're watching a YouTube video. It doesn't look very filtered or cinematic or anything. So it kind of adds this very realistic feel to it all. And I kind of enjoyed that for this type of movie. So yeah, I think it was really, really enjoyable if you're into more character pieces.
Cool. Well, I checked out another film that's been sort of getting a lot of buzz, like this time of year, end of year awards. I watched Thoroughbreds, starring Anna Taylor-Joy and Olivia Cook.
I nearly watched this the other day. I might still watch it.
Yeah, it's
Bad horses.
Kind of. So this Amanda person, she's like, I guess she is like a sociopath. She just doesn't have any feelings. Like she doesn't feel happiness or joy or sadness or anything. She's just sort of there. So I don't think it's a spoiler, but she's been charged with animal cruelty before because she euthanized a horse with a knife.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that's where the name of the film comes. So these two girls have grown distant. They've sort of come back together, and then they sort of plot to kill one of the girls' fathers. And that's the plot of the film. It's very captivating. I thought I was going to be able to do something else and sort of watch it, but I just found myself captivated by them.
Sorry, what did you watch it on?
I rented it on Google. Yeah.
Yeah. I rented my film on iTunes too, if you care to ask, Nick.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's really, really great. It's interesting, these two actors who are probably up and coming, probably going to be a big deal in a few years. Olivia Cooke just did Ready Player One, as in Me, Earl, and The Dying Girl.
The Dying Girl,
yeah.
Ouija as well.
Ouija. Anna Taylor-Joy, of course, did The Witch, and is in Split, and will be in Glass. Set to be in New Mutants next year, if that comes out. It's also, I think, possibly the last performance of Anton Yelchin, who plays like a drug dealer guy. So he had a good turn as well. How old's
this movie?
Huh?
How old's this movie?
It debuted at Sundance last year, but didn't get released till this year. So
he's been dead quite a while, hasn't he?
He died in, what was it, early 2017 or late 2016?
I believe so, yeah.
Like
Whenever the Star Trek film came out, so...
Yeah. Star Trek came out 2016, so it would have been late 2016,
so
I think,
yeah. So Thoroughbreds, check that out. Dylan, you also checked out You Were Never Really Here.
What an interesting
sequel
movie
too.
that one is.
I really wanted to see this.
Look, I'll put it out there. It's really hard to talk. Once again, a movie that's really hard to talk about without spoilers. And its ending will piss off a lot of people. But I feel like if you get it, you think you'll just get how kind of smart it is once you kind of click all the pieces over your head and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it now. And that's really smart about how we got from the start of this movie to where we are now. But without going into that element of it, if you kind of want to watch it and want a movie to describe it as, it's kind of Taxi Driver-esque, I guess. It's like a similar premise. I don't feel like the movie goes in a complete different direction to Taxi Driver eventually, but like the setup and the scenario for it is basically Taxi Driver. Joaquin Phoenix plays this guy who's like, he's kind of haunted by war memories and things like this, and he does jobs to help get back children who are taken by like pedophiles or sex rings and all sorts of things like this. So you see one of these kind of at the start of the movie, and then a little bit into it after you get to know how his home life is and these sorts of things. He gets another job for this particular girl, and once he gets to her, things start going in weird directions. Things don't go to plan, of course, and that's kind of the way the movie goes. But Joaquin Phoenix, as usual, is really, really great. Probably easily one of the better or greatest working actors I feel like we still have working at the moment. He's always good. I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is just one of those actors. If I watch one of his movies, I know he's just going to kind of captivate the screen no matter what. The movie could be terrible and Joaquin Phoenix would still be really, really good in the role that he's playing, and that's the true here. But everyone else that's in the movie is really good. It's also really small budget, so I like some of the decisions that were made within the film to do stuff, kind of like show you stuff in a unique way, but you know that those decisions for the way certain things are shot and filmed were kind of just because of budget constraints, but then they used the budget constraints to do unique ways to show you scenes. So I thought it was good. I could see it being polarizing somewhat, though.
Is it particularly violent?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I feel like it wasn't over the top. Nothing particularly shocked me. There was no really graphic scenes or anything like that. I feel like the rating might just be because of the themes. Yeah, mostly more so than what you actually see happen at any point in time.
It's been a long time since I've seen the trailer, but the trailer gave me the impression of it being violent. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's just thematically violent, where more so than it's. You see people's fingers getting cut off in torture scenes or anything, along those lines. It's just the themes around the movie and what's happening can be violent and distressing, of course, because given it's about girls being sex trafficked and
people do die, of course, but it's never really gory.
Cool. I saw you also checked out one of Nick's films of the year. Brawl in Cell Block 99.
That's violent.
Oh yeah.
If you want to go the opposite, that movie is 100% got its rating for a good reason. It's quite gory. I really, really liked it. I think it's a fucking grindhouse movie. I don't know why they just didn't promote it that way. They kind of promote it as a more serious film, but it's a grindhouse film. It's a straight up, I don't know, revenge plot somewhat, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's probably the best fucking thing Vince Vaughn has done in his whole career. And everyone's kind of sleeping on it. But I went in thinking, look, one of the reasons I didn't rush out and watch it is because I went into True Detective Season 2 going, this could be Vince Vaughn's moment where he can prove he has chops and he can prove that he can act really well and do this character piece and all these sorts of things. And then I got so bored and he wasn't great and it was pretty shit, to be honest. So one of the reasons I wasn't really looking forward to this was I'm like, I really, really liked Bone
Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk, thank you. So I was keen, but at the same time, I'm like, is Vince Vaughn just going to let me down? But no, I thought he was really good in this. They make use of him so well. It's like he's fucking tall, you know. He's a big dude, and he's not like buff or anything, but he's a tall, biggish dude and the way that it's filmed makes use of his height and everything like that to make him this threatening dude who could just fucking smack you out a couple times and get you. And all the fight scenes are done really, really well. They're all just, I don't think any of them really have any music playing either. It's mostly just a fight will start and most of them are one shots or choreographed really, really well, and they're all pretty violent, and you just got Vince Vaughn who's this hulking man just fighting these people at times, and it's quite violent and gets gruesome at times, to put it plainly. And I think he's also just a layered character, you know? Like, is he a good guy? No, not really. Is he a bad guy? No, not really. So it's much like Bone Tomahawk. Much like that movie. I don't know. I've been drinking today, but it's
that explains it.
Much like that movie, the characters in that were like the good guys were also kind of in the middle. So this is much the same. It's like, okay, you're rooting for him, but at the same time, he's not a good guy, but he's still the batter of what you're dealing with in the scenario. But it's 100% a fucking grindhouse movie, and I don't mean like Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, ridiculous level to recreate what a grindhouse movie was. But it's like, this is a grindhouse movie created in 2018. It's got the storyline and the violence and just the way it's plotted and just how it gets from A to B of the movie. It's just a grindhouse movie. Yeah.
And S. Craig Zahler is becoming my favorite creator in general, like with his movies and books. And he relies on that theme a lot, especially in the books that I've read of his, that no one's particularly a good person. They're all just fucking shitheads.
Everyone's got a bad side. But, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like how Vince Vaughn's character gets to where he is by the end of the movie is because he gets fucked over at the start of the movie. Exactly. It comes down to that one little decision. I'm not saying that makes it okay for what he does, because if you want the basic premise of the movie, without going into spoilers, at the start, he loses his job. He's a mechanic or something, like works as a mechanic or something. Like, gets fired, comes home. Things happen with his wife. He's like, I need to be able to make money. I know someone who deals drugs. I'll start dealing drugs. All of a sudden, it cuts forward like 9 months or something along those lines. He's got money. He's got a big house. Things are going down. But of course, shit goes wrong for him, which it does for everyone who deals drugs. Eventually, your line runs up anyway. He runs in trouble with the law, and he eventually ends up in prison. And for some reason, he needs to be able to get from where he is in prison to Cell Block 99 to be able to do something over there. And then the movie kind of just moves along at I'd say rather brisk pace through everything that happens, considering how long it is. Because it's like 2 hours something, but at the same time, it's constantly like go, go, go. And once the movie kicks into its major plot point, which is I need to get to Cell Block 99, and it takes like half an hour to get there, I suppose. Once it gets into that main plot point and the title of the movie, it's just go, moving. And it probably takes place over like fucking 24 hours, I guess, if that. So...
What I found particularly surprising and that I enjoyed a lot was Don Johnson in the movie.
Which one was he?
He was the warden at the end.
Oh, the second place. Yeah, he's
the guy
fucking
from
evil though.
Miami Vice. Yeah.
Yeah, so evil. Just the way, mate, we got time for a cigar. Got time for about half one. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for Zala's next film, Dragged Across Concrete. Which the name itself makes it sound like it's going to be fucking horrific. Which Vince Vaughn is in again, yeah.
Yep. Well, I looked up, side story was, I looked up some trivia for this movie after I watched it, which whenever I enjoy a movie, I know I enjoyed it because if I go look up trivia, really. Yep. Or I go to IMDb and I start looking for the trivia. That means I enjoyed it somewhat, usually. And when I was looking through that, apparently Vince Vaughn, when he was doing... what was the Gibson's War movie that he did?
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge, yeah. So when Vince Vaughn was doing Hacksaw Ridge, he had the script for this. He had already signed on to it. He had the script for the Dragged Across Concrete, and he showed it to Mel Gibson, and Gibson read the script then, and that's when he agreed to sign on to it. So Vince Vaughn got Mel Gibson on board that one, apparently.
And it's very thematically similar to what we watched last week with Shot Caller too, which I think this had done those themes a whole lot better than what Shot Caller did.
So you screwed up and made us watch the wrong movie.
Well, no, I knew Dylan wasn't going to be on it, so I didn't want him to
fair
watch.
Enough. All right, you subjected me to the wrong movie.
And plus, I wanted to watch Shot Caller too.
All right. I watched the entirety of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 2.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I've figured out what I love about this show. It is the dialogue. Amy Sherman Palladino has incredible dialogue. The characters are allowed to talk and speak in this clearly written way that nobody could actually talk like. But it's like why I love Aaron Sorkin stuff as well. Like just the characters talking is
movie of the year.
Is fun to listen to. So yeah. Of course, Rachel Brosnahan, amazing job. Alex Bornstein, hilarious again. This season, they bring in Zachary Levi as like a love interest. So they got me on board because I'm a huge Chuck fan. Yeah, it's great. It's more of the same, but better.
I'm looking forward to going back to it. At which point, I'll probably just end up binging.
Yeah, just do both seasons back to back. It won't make too much of a difference. Yeah.
They all won awards for a reason.
Tony Shalhoub also really great as well. So, lot to like about that. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Nick, you watched Springsteen on Broadway.
I started to watch Springsteen
hours
on
ago.
Broadway. I started to watch it.
Started?
Yeah, I didn't stop watching because I wasn't entertained. I think I watched about 45 minutes of it. It goes for a good 2.5 hours, but I really, really enjoyed it so far. Like, it's a stage show of him telling his life, which is kind of like an extension of his autobiography that he released sort of recently, but he's up there on his own, he's playing songs and just talking through his life. And like, if you're interested in Bruce Springsteen, it's a must watch. It's very well performed and he wrote it himself, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm keen to get back to it and finish it.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to interrupt your viewing of it.
Sorry,
it wasn't you. Will was watching with my wife and she took a phone call and I was tired, so I went into the bedroom and had a nap.
Okay.
Then I woke up and watched
the most Nick story ever.
I was
watching Bruce Springsteen. Wife had a phone call. I had a nap. Now I'm here. Still tired.
I mean, it's interesting that they're doing this and they've got that Taylor Swift thing coming.
Yeah, I am really, really glad that they had done this because he's been doing it for a little while now, and then everyone has seen it, has absolutely raved about it, and it's a must-see show. And I'm glad that they've enabled people to be able to see it that wouldn't have had the means to get over to Broadway and pay the exorbitant amount for tickets and stuff like that.
And also they've immortalized it. It'll live forever now. So that's
and it's Tony Award winning too, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah. Could have been. Dylan, you watched Who Killed Grandmaster Jay? Who did?
No idea. My favorite my favorite thing about all these like hip hop who killed them documentary type things I always end up watching is no one ever fucking knows anything. I've watched abundance of these at this point this year, I feel, between watching the live action Who Killed Biggie Tupac series, then the documentary series about them, and then the Dr. Dre history one, and then I watched this Who Killed Jam Master Jay one. Look, no one knows who killed any of these motherfuckers. Don't even play with the title. Look, just be like, we don't fucking know. It's 20, 30 years later, and we still
it
don't
could be the
know.
worst, the best serial killer of all time.
Apparently,
For all we know.
This one was more interesting. I didn't know a lot about who like the case of Jam Master Jay. If you don't know who Jam Master Jay is, he was the DJ for Run DMC. So that's what they talk about Run DMC's history a bit at the start, of course, get to know everyone that's in the group, and then they get into, because once they, of course, they broke down a little bit, and everyone goes off, kind of does their own thing in the early 2000s, and Jam Master Jay kind of starts up his own studio, label, and all these sorts of things, and he's the person who found 50 Cent, for example, amongst a bunch of other people, helped sign them, and then one day people just walk into the studio and shoot him, and no one knows who it is, and then they go through the whole case, and it's interesting if you're interested in music history or hip-hop history, I suppose, but other than that, it's definitely not this documentary is so good that you should watch it, even if you don't care. It's really only if you're interested into music or hip-hop history or anything along those lines, but I enjoyed it, and I was watching. It was a watch while I'm working on my laptop thing, because it's a multitask thing.
All right. Nick, you and me both saw The Christmas Chronicles, starring Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
No spoilers, because I swear I'm gonna watch it before Christmas.
I enjoyed it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I feel it is let down by a reveal at the very end.
Really?
That made me question why everything in the movie happened.
Don't say this, Ash. So you tell me I just turn off at what?
I disagree with everything Ashley said.
No.
Okay, fuck you, Ash.
I personally enjoyed all the scenes with Kurt Russell. I think he's the best on-screen Santa Claus that I've ever seen.
Holy shit, better than Tim Allen?
Yeah, he's my favourite.
But Tim Allen had 3 movies called Santa Claus.
So,
okay, jeez, sorry. Okay.
And I think the movie doesn't hold up when Santa is not in it. Especially the period of time during the middle of the movie.
Can you, without spoilers, explain to me why you're saying he's not in it? Isn't the whole movie about Santa Claus? Wasn't that the premise?
Yeah.
No. So there's these 2 kids. One of them's a bad boy who's been stealing cars because he's, again, recurring theme of this episode apparently. His father's died in a fire. Like his policeman.
Hell.
Yeah.
Fighter.
His little sister's like a video nerd. Like she's always filming on an old school tape thing.
Yeah, the camera that the dad always used.
Yeah. So they're forced to stay together for Christmas Eve because their mum's gone to work as a nurse. So they decide to try and film Santa coming down the chimney. And,
how old are they?
I want to say he's 16.
I want to say
the
girl's under 10. Yeah, 10 or under.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then
it raises a question that I've never thought of before, but now it annoys me that I've thought of that. Is that all these Santa movies, everyone grows up to not believe in Santa.
Yep.
But then why do all these parents just not freak the fuck out that somebody's breaking into their house and putting toys under their tree every Christmas night?
Yeah. Why are they where did these presents come from?
Yeah. They're like, where the fuck have all these presents come from? Who's breaking into my house putting all these here?
I think they go over it briefly in one of those Tim Allen Santa Claus movies, and they just throw away a line where apparently the wife and the boyfriend, husband, whoever, it's like, it was like, oh, I just assumed it was you or something, but they'd never talked about it.
Yeah,
that's their throwaway.
Don't factor into
yeah,
that's
that does ring true in
it.
this day and age. People, or in every day and age.
I feel like because most Santa Claus movies that has Santa Claus in it are designed for kids, and their plot isn't to say, hey, Santa Claus is fake, they're to say, hey, Santa Claus is real. They're never going to have a plot point explaining why the parents never question it, because then it's like, they wouldn't be questioning it because Santa Claus is... they want to draw attention to it. You got to remember they are kids.
I understand that, but now that I've thought of it, it just annoys the fuck out of me.
You just have to ask him yourself when he comes around this Christmas. I know. I thought the elves were quite cute.
I could have taken them or left them.
Yeah. I mean,
I think their section went on too long.
probably, yeah. And I'd be interested to see if they do a sequel.
Oh, they definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised. Netflix probably did pretty well. And there was a cameo at the end. I mean, if you know anything about Kurt Russell, it's not too much of a surprise, but yeah.
He becomes Snake Plissken.
I was about to say, is Snake Plissken at the end of this movie? Are you just like giving away
He pops his glass out, puts a glass eye out, puts his fucking eye patch on, and picks up a newsie.
And when
That's what he does the other 364 days.
Escape from New
Escape
York.
from the North Pole.
Dylan, you watched Cam.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Scotty Cam documentary.
So it's a movie about, as if you don't get what the title is, it's cam girls, as in like the stripper, what like, you know, cam girls, paid for cam girls. It's a horror movie though. Let's not get it straight. It's
Solid trailer.
So,
I'm like,
sorry?
what the fuck is happening? The trailer's really good.
it's a weird movie. So it starts pretty normal. You know, the movie just starts with her doing a whole scene and she's doing a show and you're like, cool, apparently I'm just watching porn now because there's a naked girl on my TV. So if anyone walks in, that's going to look like I am just watching a cam show at this point. So that's fine. But so she ends the day and then she wakes up the next morning or something like along those lines after a successful day at work. And she checks the channel because like they set up this whole premise that she really wants to reach number one on whatever website she streams on. Like she sits in like the top 10 or top 20ish or whatever, but her dream is to become the number one most watched on whatever site she's in. And she wakes up next morning and she's looking through like other people streaming, other girls, because they all kind of know each other, and she's like watching them to see what they're doing kind of thing, or see how well they're doing competition wise or friends wise and stuff. But then all of a sudden she sees her channel live. So she clicks on it and there she is. She's doing some stuff. She's fucking, I don't know, having a bubble bath or something along those lines. And then she's like, this is weird. Maybe they're playing maybe the website's just playing a VOD on repeat somehow, but I didn't do this. So she brings up and they're like, no one's streaming that. She's like, well, this is fucking weird. And then she like writes in the chat and then realizes it's actually live. And then she like races downstairs to where it is, where it would be taking place in a house because it looks like it's inside a house, but there's no one there. And that's how the movie's set up. And that's the rest of the movie is this ongoing, what the fuck, there's like a clone of me out there somewhere doing cam shows, and she'll see people in real life who knows that's what she does, and they'll be like, great show last night, and these sorts of things. So it's I said horror movie, but at the same time it's more of a thriller, really. I mean, it's not like, yeah, it's a thriller.
Unsettling.
It's weird, unsettling at times, yeah. But I enjoyed it. I feel like it was just, the premise is weird enough that it kind of hooks you in to go, yeah, what the fuck is going on? Like, where, you know, how are they going to wrap this up? And like most movies that have such a weird premise, I feel by the time they solve it at the end of the movie, it's either going to be hit or miss for you. For me, I was like, sure, that's as good as an explanation as I'm willing to take. And I enjoyed the rest of the movie anyway, so whatever. But I enjoyed it, yeah.
So you and me both watched Dumplin.
Oh, you watched Dumplin too? What
Yeah.
a sing-song of time, Ash. Dolly Parton.
It is... This was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They see advertised all the time.
It's the story of a young woman who enters a beauty pageant with a body that is not usually associated with a beauty pageant. And things ensue.
Yeah, well, her mum gives it a name, like Jennifer Aniston says mum, and her mum's given it a name Dumpling, of course. Like it's not outwardly said, but of course it's because she's a bigger girl. And then her mum's obsessed with this beauty pageant stuff, and she's kind of grown up being picked on and bullied, of course, for being a bigger girl. So then it's just a typical kind of feel-good movie. You can kind of guess where the plot's going to go, but I feel like they do it well enough that even though it just ticks all the boxes that make you want to be like, oh, you're hitting me in the feels right now, but it's still unique enough. It's not like every other feel-good movie I've ever watched, so...
I mean,
That's
there's some
based off a
moments you see coming from a mile away, but it still hits you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Also, the main reason I really wanted to watch it was because I looked up her name, Danielle McDonald, right? When I saw she was in it, I wanted to watch it because I don't know if we ever talked about it on the show, but I watched that movie late last year or early this year. I can't even remember what it was, called Patty Cakes, that I was a big fan of.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
the girl from that also.
Is she? Oh, okay.
But, yeah. So and that movie is about a girl who wants to become a rap star, and it's the exact same girl. So then, and she's really fucking great in that movie, and she does all the songs for it. And as I said, the soundtrack for that was oddly good, which I found so interesting. And then when I found out that it was her in this movie, I'm like, well, sure, I want to watch the girl who did the hip hop, I want to be a hip hop star movie, do a Dolly Parton inspired Southern beauty contest movie. And I'm not saying it's musical as in that they do and sings the songs, but there is a lot of music in it. And her character really loves Dolly Parton, and
Obsessed.
Dolly, obsessed. And Dolly did a song for the movie, exclusive song. So there's a lot of her music in it because the character is obsessed with her songs because she grew up with her auntie, was it? Yeah.
It's
her
a weird
auntie,
relationship. Her mum and her aunt lived together.
Yeah.
But they weren't close. Super sad.
It just
So
seems
then
like
where's the
money-wise...
dad?
I don't know. It seems like money-wise they were living together for whatever
Yeah.
reasons you can probably piece together, I guess, because the dads aren't around, maybe, is what I was kind of putting together. And... so it just seems that the aunt was raising the main character. Dumpling, whatever her real name is, I can't remember. Sorry, but the auntie was raising her, not Jennifer Anderson.
Wilhelmina. Or
Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina.
She's an Australian actress too.
Yeah, she's really, really, really good. I can see her becoming a star. Honestly, I've loved everything I've seen her in. She's really, really good. And so her auntie looks after her, and she raises her on Dolly Parton and says, there's a scene right in the opening of this movie where she comes out of a shop or whatever, and these kids call her fat, and her auntie's like, fuck them. Well, she doesn't say fuck them, but she's like, forget them. You got to stand up for yourself. Don't care what they think. You're beautiful on the inside, and all these, your typical type of things. But that's the kind of person her auntie is. But then, spoilers, her auntie dies 5 minutes into the movie, and that she's dealing with that for the rest of the movie, and she loves Dolly Parton because she loved her aunt so much. And it seems her aunt was raising her because Jennifer Aniston was obsessed with being a beauty pageant person. So it's funny, it's heartwarming. I enjoyed it. Probably went a little bit too long. It probably could have been shorter, is my only thing. It was only 1 hour 50, but I feel like they could have chopped some bits here and there. Her friend's also really, really good. What's her fucking name? She's in other stuff too.
Adea Rush.
Adea Rush, yes. She's quite good in it also. So she's from Lady Bird and Ghostbusters, the two things I know her primarily from. Not Ghostbusters, Goosebumps, sorry.
Goosebumps. Same.
Same thing. But yeah, I was surprised because I went in thinking it would be so corny that it would be bad. But then it rode the line enough that I was like, yeah, okay, I'll give you away. Because when they're aiming for feel-good movies, they either just go too far into sappy and it becomes bad, or they kind of hit the right stride, I guess.
Hits the right notes. Makes you feel good. Yeah. Nick, you and me both watched the Sabrina Christmas or Winter Solstice special.
Wish I hadn't.
I think it was a average episode of Sabrina. I don't think it was any...
It was not additive to their overall story at all, in my opinion.
No. It definitely feels like this was meant to be the end of the first part, and they've just moved it. Or it was going to be the first part of the second part. Like the first episode of the second part, and they've just moved it.
I don't understand the decision for them to have done this, to be honest.
Because it's during the winter solstice. It's a marketing thing, clearly.
Yeah. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, if you like Sabrina, probably watch it.
And if you like Sabrina, you don't get anything from it.
Yeah. Dylan, you watched Nailed It Holiday special edition. I don't know. Just Nailed It Holiday?
Yeah. Cool? It's I'm like halfway through all the episodes. The funniest thing is I have never finished either of the other seasons of Nailed It. But I'm just watching this one because, of course, it's a cooking show. I don't need to watch the other ones. But it's also Christmas time now, so I'm kind of enjoying watching this one just while it's in theme. But I want to point out my biggest problem with this. It's not the show. It's how it's put in. So when I clicked on to watch it, I saw, of course, on Netflix it said Holiday Edition. But I assumed I was just clicking into the normal Nailed It. Like it was just they changed the banner, but it's under a completely different show. And I didn't realize that until I went to Trakt.tv and went to add it into my thing, and I typed in Nailed It, and actually it's under a separate thing. Like Nailed It season 1 or 2, its own show. Nailed It Holiday is apparently its own separate thing now, which I find quite odd to have it a completely different show.
They just open themselves up to do different
I
holidays.
guess. So now they're going to do Easter and whatever the fuck else, I guess, under this new brand. But
so if people don't know what Nailed It is, what's Nailed It?
Yeah. If you don't know what Nailed It is, it's a show where it's like, hey, do you hate serious cooking shows? Yep. Okay, watch this one because it's quite funny. It's hosted by, I can't remember her name, but she's very funny comedian lady.
Nicole Byer.
Thank you. That's the one. And the chef dude who's on it, who's the proper chef dude, has good chemistry with her, I feel. He's like not super serious, so they kind of back and forth off each other really well. And then the premise is they get 3 people in, average Joes off the street. I don't mean directly off the street, but, you know, normal people, not serious chefs or anything. And they make them try and make really hard things because, of course, they want them to fail because the show's basically about having them fail, but it's just how bad they can do it. And then the show's premise comes from, of course, when they reveal what they've done, they open it up and, you know, nailed it, as you say, but most of the times it looks terrible. Every now and then someone actually does a pretty all right job. You're like, fucking hell, you pulled that off right for an hour. But they usually start with something rather simple, and in this season it's been like cake pops usually for the first thing, like different variations of cake pops. And then the second thing has been a lot of times these ridiculous like 3-layered cakes with hugely designed multi-piece things all over it, and it's just funny to watch the people look at it and them just say, you know, you've got an hour and a half, and they're like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to do it. But yeah, it's funny. It's only 20 whatever minute episodes, and it's very easy to watch while you're doing something else for someone else.
And this holiday one, they've got like special guests, judges. Is that?
Oh yeah. So each episode so far has had a guest judge. Some of them have been from like other Netflix shows, like that magician from that show we talked about earlier in the year.
Oh, yeah.
You know that show we watched. He was on one episode, so they were doing funny bits between the like cutting back to them, and then he was doing magic tricks to them and all sorts of things like that. There was one where he's like, "Look, I'm making it float," and they're like, "How the fuck are you doing that?" And they just show him. He's like, "It's just a ladle. I've put it up my sleeve." Put it in, but from the angle it was looking at, it made it look like it was floating. But I was like, "Fuck, you even got me," because I was like, "How is he doing it?" He's like, "It's a ladle. It's just up my sleeve." So that was funny. And then other episodes they've had on like guest chefs from other shows, but I presume as the season continues, it's going to be more Netflix people on it, because they kind of started it off when they did the Queer Eye Across Nailed It special, which was the first episode of Nailed It I ever watched. Of course it was. And that one was quite funny. So I like seeing Netflix be like making more use of all their shows, and kind of when they've got a show like this, they can be like, yeah, we can get people from all over shows.
Universe.
Yeah, the Netflix. Yeah, but it helps promote the other shows. Yeah. I feel like just in a nice way. Like they have the magician dude on. People may not have heard of him. They're like, oh, that dude was quite funny. They look it up. Oh, he has a Netflix show. Then they watch it. We've got Netflix. We're just watching Netflix.
Yeah, it's similar like, say something like, I don't know, My Kitchen Rules would have somebody on from another Channel 7 show or something
Channel 7,
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also the way it's filmed and presented, it just doesn't feel network-like at all. Like one of the main people they interact with constantly is their like assistant, like person who's running around with a headset on, and that's his thing. It's like an actor or whatever is running around. So, but Nicole will interact with him quite often and make jokes, and a lot of times you'll see the camera just sweep past the other camera, or the people controlling the cameras. They don't try and hide it. It's very funny, and there's even moments where she'll say stuff like, and now they had an episode where they had the last one I watched, they had their mums or their friends, like they could invite one person to come helping him, and then she goes, and now pretend like you didn't know they were here. Here's your family. Like it definitely plays against the grain of your typical stereotypes of this type of show, I suppose. Yeah, it's really I quite enjoy it.
Cool. I just want to reiterate to you people, watch The Good Place. We're at...
Yeah, actually, after my my falling flat on it at the beginning of the season, it's picked up and I'm quite enjoying it now.
It is, especially the last episode. If Darcy Camden doesn't get a Emmy nomination based on that episode purely, I think the Emmy system is a failed system. Pretty much.
Tell him, Ash.
She's just that good in that episode. It's one of those episodes where someone's given the opportunity to show what they can really do, and she like knocks it out of the park. Freaking incredible. But yeah, the Good Place. I didn't know it was going to go for this season, obviously, and that's how I feel at the end of every episode. It's been renewed for a 4th season. I honestly don't know what they're going to do for a 4th season, but it's going to happen.
I don't even know what they're going to do for the rest of this season.
Yeah, there's like 4 episodes left, but
Oh, is that it?
Did they do like a part 1, part 2 for this or something?
no, there's like
They take mid-season breaks.
Yeah, just for Christmas.
Okay.
But they're back 10th of January, I believe, so not far
Is
away.
it a weekly show? I thought it was a normal Netflix all dropped in.
No, it's
No.
like on CBS or something over
It's
there.
on NBC.
Oh, so it's CBS,
NBC.
NBC there, and Netflix us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Yep. Also want to touch on a Australian show, Ronnie Cheng, international student. It just dropped on Netflix. Originally broadcast on ABC. It's fun. It's like a very broad comedy, where Ronnie Cheng, who is now known for being a correspondent on The Daily Show or being in Crazy Rich Asians, plays an international student from Malaysia, studying in Melbourne at a law school, and hijinks ensue. I enjoy it. I think there's only like 7 episodes. Some of them are a bit hit and miss, but I enjoy Ronnie Cheng. I saw him do stand-up before he got the Daily Show gig, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Cool. So that's everything we've watched, pretty much. Everything I care
We've
about.
all
you
been
guys
watching
talking
a
about.
lot lately. That's what it
Yeah.
seems.
Somehow we just nailed it at the end of the year. Just watched as much content as we could. Let's move into, let's say, award season update. And probably the biggest story of the last 2 weeks is we don't have an Oscar host. Mere out probably like days after we talked about it on this show that Kevin Hart was going to be hosting the Oscars, he got caught up in a controversy. That's probably the best term for a comedy bit he did in his, or comedy bits, or he used to do in his shows about gay people or his son being gay, that obviously people dug up and were not happy about. Of course, being Kevin Hart, he decided not to apologize, which would have smoothed everything over probably, and decided, and then in the end, the Academy decided that it was best that he did not host the Oscars this year. We are a little over a month away from the Academy Awards. Still no Oscar host. What do you guys think of the whole situation? Do you think they're going to do the Oscars with no host this year?
I don't understand how they can.
I mean, they just present each award. They don't really need. Just have someone come out and do a funny bit at the start. You have occasional funny comment. People doing bits in the middle.
The award show runtime down, I imagine, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah. Dylan, do you have an opinion? Obviously, you're pretty happy that Kevin Hart's not hosting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care either way if he hosted. Really, I wasn't like, fuck, I've missed out on Kevin Hart hosting. That would have been the best Oscars ever. God damn it. I mean, they'll find someone. I feel like they'll just, because the thing is, the people who work the hardest on the show are the writers and producers and everyone who's working behind the scenes, and whoever they get just kind of has to come through, run through the steps, and read the script, and specifically kind of get their opening monologue or piece or whatever down. That's the main thing, and then that's it. So I feel like there's still time. They'll probably announce someone within the next fortnight, I guess you'd have to say, maybe before the end of the year. I'd expect someone to be announced.
If they're going to do somebody, they have to do it soon-ish. You would have thought, because they actually have to start working on the show soon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of at odds with what they want it to be, because they want it to be taken all very serious with their awards and stuff, but then they make a joke out of it with the presenter, where they're having a comedian up there.
I feel like, because when they do a good opening bit, because sometimes they open with a good funny bit, and it's fine. You know, it's not the Golden Globes where they're usually hosted by someone who basically shits on everyone in the room, like a comedy show. The Oscars are usually the comedy bits more. It's fine, it's not really
about the
roasting.
industry, not about the people.
Yeah, it's about
in the room.
industry. It's not. It's everything. It's jokes that everyone can laugh about. So it's like if you're gonna, they'll make funs at Trump and whatever else. Like targets that everyone's going to be okay at having targets on, not targets of people in the room who might make it awkward. That's kind of how the Oscars go. Yeah. And I feel like it's still, everyone's still in suits, comes out. The host is usually rather professional. They usually get everyone. So, like, if you're going to compare it to, like, the Video Game Awards, I still think, even if they have an opening comedy number or an opening comedy video that goes into a stage show or something like that, it's still a lot more serious than the Game Awards or something along those lines. Because then that's, like, 10, 15 minutes, and then you've got 2.5 fucking hours left of serious shit, like just awards and proper pieces and music and whatever else. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. The host, after that opening bit, kind of disappears. Really, they're back every now and then.
Generally, yeah.
But it is mainly about that opening musical piece or comedy bit or just monologue or whatever you do. That's really what the host's main job is, and then they come back every 15, 20 minutes, do another joke or two in between a couple of presenters. They show up, but they're
Depends
not
on
back
if
that
the
often.
writing's good or not, really.
Yeah, that's true also. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
Jeff Keighley can host.
sure. I've seen so many names attached to this, it's crazy. Apparently John Legend is not ruling it out. There seems to be a huge, massive online push for Hannah Gadsby to host. Ellen has ruled herself out.
Thank God.
Yeah. I mean, it is the one job, really. It's like one of the jobs people most don't want. Because it's a thankless
Because if you
job.
do it badly, you're fucking shit on for years to come, basically.
Yeah. And even if you do a good job, you don't get praised. It's like, they didn't screw it up.
The other thing is that most of the time it comes down to the writing, and you got to remember that the Oscars can win a Golden Globe for best TV, whatever award,
TV special or something.
whatever
Yeah.
TV special, whatever it goes under, and that's because if the show's shit, it usually does come down to the writing. It's not the host isn't writing their own jokes most of the time, unless they are like a writer presenter, in some rare case like that. But like Dan Harmon won or was nominated for when he wrote it, for example. So, it doesn't matter who's hosting it. It's really about who's writing it, who's behind the scenes. That's how it's going to work. Who's producing it, who's directing it. Like any other fucking thing, really. It's like who's actually behind the scenes of this thing.
Yeah. So this week we also got some Oscar shortlists. Normally, apparently, they stagger them. They just decided to dump them all in one go. So we got some films up for documentary feature. Some of the names that I recognize, films like Free Solo, Minding the Gap, RBG, Shirkers, Three Identical Strangers, and Won't You Be My Number. I suspect those will probably be the one. Well, those are the ones I've heard of, so they probably won't get nominated. Up for Best Foreign Language Film, Birds of Passage from Colombia, The Guilty from Denmark, Never Look Away from Germany, Shoplifters from Japan, Ica from Kazakhstan, Capernaum from Lebanon, Roma, the Alfonso Cuarón film.
I'm going to watch that soon, hopefully, because it was out today of recording or last night.
Is
or
it
something.
really? I could have
so.
sworn it was out a couple of days ago because they changed the whole...
The background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you do that as soon as the film is available?
You'd think so, but I think they just
No.
had that as a promotion thing.
No,
but I'm pretty sure it was out today. Or
Yeah.
I feel like if it's not fucking out and I was mistaken, and then you should have held on off and updating that fucking Netflix background for a few days because I've been putting up with that for like a week now.
Yeah, that's from Mexico, so looking likely to be Oscar nominated. Cold War from Poland and Burning from South Korea. So yeah, a lot of good films there. Up for makeup and hairstyling, Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, Border, Mary Queen of Scots, Stan and Ollie, Suspiria, and Vice. Out of that list, I would suspect Black Panther has to be up for makeup and hairstyling. Probably Mary Queen and Scots, and I would say Vice based on Christian Bale's face.
Yeah, I was about to say. It's hair and makeup, isn't it? So, like,
Yeah.
I want Black Panther to win costume design. I could see it missing out on hair and makeup for one of those off ones. Like even
But
Vice.
they have a lot of crazy hair in that.
Oh, they do for sure. Like it's deserving of being nominated. But if I had to pick between one, it's the costume design. Put my bets on.
Yeah. So then we've got Best Original Score. The shortlist is Annihilation, Avengers: Infinity War, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Panther, Black Klansman, Crazy Rich Asians, The Death of Stalin, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, First Man, If Beale Street Could Talk, Isle of Dogs, Mary Poppins Returns, A Quiet Place, Ready Player One, and Vice.
Too many.
Well, that's just the shortlist. That's
Was
not the
this
actual
Australian
nominees.
Game Awards?
Oh, a bit.
I can see. Well, you can. I feel like you can kind of see which ones will drop off without even having watched the films. I feel like I can see which ones will drop off.
I find it's good to see Annihilation on that list. At least it's getting recognized by Academy voters.
It had a good score. It had like a very subtle score that added a lot to the movie, I feel.
Yeah. And again, Black Panther looking likely to be nominated.
Yeah. The actual score, though. We're not talking about the Kendrick Lamar album.
Then we've got Best Original Song. We have When a Cowboy Tracy Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
I love that song. I listen to it almost daily.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Treasure from Beautiful Boy. All the Stars from Black Panther. Revelation from Boy Raised. Girl in the Movies from Dumplin. We Won't Move from The Hate You Give. The Place Where Lost Things Go. And Little Light Fantastic from Mary Poppins Returns. Keep Reaching from Quincy. I'll Fight from RBG. A Place Called Slaughter Race. Oh, God, I can't believe that song's nominated from Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ash hates this movie.
No, I'm just surprised. Because it is a bit of a parody, that song. If you see the film, it'll make sense. Oya Hot? I don't know. But it's from Sorry to Bother You. Probably the winner, Shallow from A Star Is Born. Suspirium from Suspiria. And The Big Unknown from Widows. Interesting list. I'm surprised the song from Dumplins on there. I didn't think that got a theatrical release and would be eligible, but apparently.
Look,
they just really like Dolly Parton.
Let's not get on this Netflix theatrical argument. They're like, it can't win Best Picture if it's not in the cinema, but it can win Best Original Song as long as it was released. It doesn't matter
as long as we like who sung it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dolly Parton's American Treasure.
Yeah. There is short films and other animated in that. I only care that Bow is nominated. I'm happy about that. And the best visual effects, the shortlist is Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers: Infinity War, Black Panther, Christopher Robin, First Man, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Mary Poppins Returns, Ready Player One, Solo: A Star Wars Story, and Welcome to Marwen. Out of that list, who do you think top 3 for visual effects?
Avengers? Go again. I'll say them as you say them.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers: Infinity War, Black Panther, Christopher Robin, First Man, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Mary Poppins Returns, Ready Player One, Solo: A Star Wars Story, and Welcome to Marwen.
Solo. They're my 3. Avengers, First Man, Solo. They're the ones I'll go with.
Yeah, I'll go with them too.
I think probably Black Panther, First Man, Ready Player One.
Sure,
I don't know.
I think Ready Player One's special effects are ugly.
I think the what's the film? The scene.
The car scene?
The scene where they go into the other movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, spoilers. But yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Right, yeah.
That will get it over the line.
The character models though were so ugly in that movie.
But they had everybody in there. Doesn't matter. Let's move over to the Golden Globes. We got the Golden Globes nominations. I won't go through everything. We might do like a predictions episode next time if we have time. Next episode is going to be huge. But up for best drama motion picture is Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born.
What an interesting list for the Golden Globes.
I think it's very interesting that A Star Is Born is up for drama.
Yeah.
It is drama.
Especially when the other category is comedy or musical.
Yeah, where are you going to put it? Drama or comedy musical?
I know, yeah.
It's not really a musical, though. Like, when I think
Yeah, not
musical,
really.
I think
Not
La La
music.
Land. I think Sing in the Rain, fucking...
Was The Martian a comedy? It's all relative.
Sure was. Ridley Scott got up there and said, my film is indeed a comedy.
Hilarious.
And I accept this award.
Speaking of musicals and comedies, the best picture nominees are Crazy Rich Asians, The Favourite, Green Book, Mary Poppins Returns, and Vice.
What is The Favourites?
The Favourite, that's the new one from the director of The Lobster, starring
yes, I
with
see,
Emma
yeah.
Stone and Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz. That looks really good. I'm really keen to see that.
Yeah, I've watched the trailer. I forgot what the title of the movie was, though. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I like Olivia Colman.
yeah.
And Emma Stone, but Olivia Colman's underrated.
Yeah.
She's going to be in The Queen soon, Ash.
Yeah, she's going to be the queen.
The Queen, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I think she is playing a queen in this, so... Another queen.
Yeah, it's practice.
We'll go through the best actors and actresses. Best actor for a drama is Bradley Cooper, William for A Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, which I haven't heard of before. Lucas Hedges for Boy Erased, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and John David Washington for Black Klansman.
Black Klansman gets meant.
Well,
You look
that's
puzzled, Nick.
The only one... Oh, no. Of the two that I've seen on that list, Black Klansman would get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There seems to be so much buzz about Rami Malek's performance in Bohemian Rhapsody. I wouldn't
I'm
be
still yet
surprised.
to see that yet.
Best performance by an actress in a drama: Glenn Close for The Wife, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, Nicole Kidman for Destroyer, Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Rosamund Pike for A Private War. Interesting list. Very interesting, because normally in these sort of lists they'd like chuck in a young up and coming actress, but they're all.
You call Rosamund Pike old.
I said all. I said yeah. She's probably the youngest on that list, I think.
You ageist.
I'm just saying we're moving forward as an industry.
Yeah,
Your
what you're
career
saying
used
is
to be over when you
once
turn
women are over
31.
30, they're dead weight.
Yeah.
You're such a gatekeeper, Ashley.
I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out how far what progress we've made. Best performance in a motion picture, musical or comedy for an actor is Christian Bale for Vice, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Mary Poppins Returns, Viggo Mortensen for Green Book, and Robert Redford for The Old Man and the Gun, and John C. Reilly for Stan and Ollie.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's a good list.
I'll go.
I
Robert
do want to
Redford
see
wins.
most of those movies.
Yeah, I want to see Robert Redford win again. Still haven't
His
seen
not
that
last
film.
movie. His last movie that wasn't his last movie. His last movie that I might still do another one.
Yeah.
John
Depends.
Farnham.
Like John
Up for it.
Farnham.
Yeah, I was gonna say John Farnham.
Best performance by an actress in a music comedy. Emily Blunt for Mary Poppins Returns, Olivia Colman for The Favourite, Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, Charlize Theron for Tully, and Constance Wu for Crazy Rich Asians. Good list. Diverse list.
Still a few films in there that my most annoying thing about award season is a lot of films don't come out in Australia until January, February.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's tough. But The Favourite's it's coming out Boxing Day, I believe. I think reviews have just come out for Vice, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll move over to the TV section of the Golden Globes. Up for Best Drama is The Americans, Bodyguard, Homecoming, Killing Eve, and Pose.
Killing Eve?
Yeah, maybe. That is an interesting list. That is
It is.
vastly different to what you would see. We saw at the Emmys like 6 months ago.
Yeah, well, the Emmys are more. You can kind of guess the Emmys.
Yeah.
I actually kind of prefer the Gold Globes to the Oscars these years. They go
interesting.
like
Hot
as
take.
much as the whole Martian controversy
The
thing.
tourist.
They seem to be trying somewhat to, like, they're not as guessable, I suppose, which makes it more fun. You can't really predict what the fuck they're
Yeah,
going to
you
nominate.
can't.
Whereas the Oscars are usually very predictable for what's going to get nominated and what's an Oscar bait movie. That's why they're called Oscar bait movies.
Yeah. Yeah, but what?
Well, they're all shit because none of them have.
They
nominated
do have
Beth
a thing
Stalin
for
anything.
like the new stuff, like Bodyguard, Homecoming, Killing Eve, Pose, all first season. The Americans, obviously the odd one out there, coming to the end of its run.
I'm so surprised. I watched the trailer for The Bodyguard and I was like, this looks terrible. Like the day it popped up on Netflix, I was like, watched it, looks terrible. And then a couple days passed and I saw reviews and stuff and I was like, it's really good. And I'm like, okay.
Apparently, the finale was like the highest rated show in like English TV history.
Really?
Not highest. Yeah, the highest ratings, not rated.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Okay. The best musical or comedy nominees for television are Barry, The Good Place, Kidding, The Krasinski Method, and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
We all know what you're picking.
Yeah. I love The Good Place. I'm happy it's nominated.
Yeah.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel will probably win again, I suspect. But and I'm keen to check out. I want to those other three ones. I want to see now. The Krasinski Method now on Netflix. Kidding is on Stan. I think Barry's on Foxtel.
Barry's on Stan, I think.
Stan
maybe.
now as well. Cool.
I feel like it might
Oh,
be.
is it?
We'll talk about
Or
Stan.
maybe it was
Yeah.
Amazon. I feel like I saw Barry somewhere when I was looking along one of my
Some
streaming
streaming
services
service.
last week. So
Alright.
I'm not 100% sure.
Best performance by an actor in a drama. Jason Bateman for Ozark, Stephen James for Homecoming, Richard Madden for Bodyguard, Billy Porter for Pose, and Matthew Rhys for The Americans. Probably
Sorry, Barry's on Foxtel.
it is on Foxtel. That's what I thought. Pretty not surprising list given the nominees for Best Drama. Probably Jason Bateman's the one that stands out. Obviously,
Does a
Ozark.
bit.
Yeah, bit unexpected. Best Actress in a Drama. Katarina Balfe for Outlander, Elizabeth Moss for The Handmaid's Tale, Sandra Oh for Killing Eve, Julia Roberts for Homecoming, and Kerry Russell for The Americans.
This is the last season of Americans too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is the last season.
Yeah, okay.
So
Getting those nominees out of the way.
yeah, I'm gonna have to check out The Americans at some point.
Has it won awards previously? Or is it just
Matthew
getting
Rhys won
nominations?
the Emmy this year for
Yeah, I
The
think so.
Americans.
Yeah.
So it's
It's never intrigued me enough to start watching it.
It's viewed as an underrated show by a lot of critics, I believe. So, up for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical, Sacha Baron Cohen for Who Is America, Jim Carrey for Kidding, Michael Douglas for The Krasinski Method, Donald Glover for Atlanta, and Bill Hader for Barry. What a list.
Interesting. It's so funny that you have Jason and whatever you just said. I probably forgot. Nominated. Bill Hader. That's the one.
Yeah.
Bill Hader plus Jason nominated. Two comedy actors for roles in which they play serious roles.
Yeah, I guess. Interesting Sacha Baron Cohen getting a nomination, or not surprising?
Rightfully, he should.
Yeah. Then Best Performance by an Actress in a Comedy or Musical, Kristen Bell for The Good Place, Candice Bergen for Murphy Brown, Alison Brie for Glow, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Deborah Messing for Will and Grace.
I fucking forgot that came back.
Yeah, Will Grace came back. Surprising.
I didn't
Alright.
particularly enjoy this season of Glow, so I don't think she should get it.
Of what?
Them's fighting
Glow.
words.
You're wrong. Moving on.
You're wrong.
Probably slightly prestigious. The Cecil B. DeMille Award for Best for Performance in Film over Korea is going to Jeff Bridges this year.
Yep,
Worthy. He's made a lot of great films.
he certainly has.
And this year they're introducing a similar award for television. So the inaugural winner is Carol Burnett, who did the Carol Burnett back in the day. The Carol Burnett show back in the day. Is long running history within television, and the award will now be named after her. So it'll be now the Cecil B. DeMille Award and the Carol Burnett Awards presented every year at the Golden Globes.
That's going to be weird to hear for a while, but sure, I'll get used to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a mouthful before. It was just like the comedy. Or...
At least Carol Burnett is easy to say. Cecil B. DeMille is difficult.
Too many syllables.
Yeah, too many syllables. Let's move to some news. Probably the most interesting news for us here in Australia. Stan made a huge get a couple of weeks ago when they I think they did. They got announced a deal with Disney to get pretty much every single Disney property on their streaming service exclusively.
Is that foreshadowing saying that the Disney's streaming service is not going to come to Australia?
I think that's what it's saying. I think it's not initially going to be coming to Australia. It will start out in the US like all the other, like Netflix did. Like Hulu currently does, like the DC app currently.
Look,
this is a big. I think this is a big get. Also on the back of Foxtel losing Disney XD, which isn't going to be running as a channel anymore. Of course, some of the Disney properties that they're doing will just be moved over to the Disney Channel. But yeah, I think this is a big blow, especially for people with families, like younger kids. I think having that catalog of animated films to be able to watch and animated shows is like a reason to keep Stan subscribed month after month, I think. You disagree, Dylan?
No, I don't. I feel like it either goes one way or another because boil it down to this. If Disney doesn't launch their streaming service here next year, and if that's what's happening, and it's not suddenly those shows are appearing on Stan, a part of this deal until they do launch it, and they're just going to solely just say, hey, those shows aren't in Australia, full stop. Disney are going to fuck themselves so hard because everyone's just going to pirate the fuck out of all those Star Wars shows and whatever the hell else are coming there. And I will sit back here as someone who's so against piracy going, use a fucking morons, and I don't even care at this stage because you're fucking stupid. So either the Stan deal is just going to last until they launch, which is what I'm on the side of.
What launch here?
Yeah, so I'm going to say Stan has the deal until Disney Plus launches in Australia. That's how long the deal
Whenever
is.
That is.
Whenever that is. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Do you expect it to be launched at the same time as the US, or do you think?
Yes, because it's Disney, and I think it's big enough that they have the power behind them to be able to get organized enough to be able to do a worldwide launch. If any company can do it, it fucking should be Disney. And if it's not that, and they're going to say, hey, we're not launching there straight away, but the Mandalorian and Clone Wars, whatever else, all these shows, Loki, whatever, they're all going to be coming to Stan. That's where they're going to be, and then they'll lose rights to them when they eventually launch Disney Plus here. Well, then it's a fucking ridiculous get for Stan. So ridiculous that I don't understand how they'll make that a deal. Because then the deal is so much in favor of Stan that I don't understand why Disney would even bother making that deal, and they wouldn't just launch their service when they could put the shows on. That's why I'm more inclined to say that the Disney deal is only lasting on Stan until they launch Disney Plus, because I'm like, they're not going to give them those shows. So,
no. And
surely they're not dumb enough not to launch Disney Plus here. So, in my mind, the deal just lasts.
I think you're thinking we're a bigger market than we actually are.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come out here at all.
I will be so angry. I'll say you wouldn't hear about it, but we'll be on this show and you'll hear about it. It'll be fucking stupid. Are you kidding? Oh, God.
Don't even get me. Logical choices.
The stupidest
Why is
thing
HBO
ever.
locked with fucking Foxtel when they can have their own streaming service?
That one
when they do have their own streaming service.
Yeah, but they only launched it a year ago, and I don't think they're not Disney. They've
had it quite a few years because I used to be subscribed to it back when VPNs were when I first got into VPN stuff.
Yeah, this one's silly. This. Sure. Either way, at the moment, yeah, sure, it's a good get for Stan, but I'm just going to stick to believing it's only going to last until some point next year when Disney Plus launches. I'm going to hope to believe.
Don't get your hopes up, Dylan.
Shh, please.
Slightly moving on from the Disney thing. the continued drama of the Netflix Marvel shows that got cancelled. It seems to be non-stop. Recently, there was an interview with the head of Disney, Kevin Mayer, who implied that there's a chance that they could be coming to the Disney Plus service. I don't know how much truth there is to that, because apparently there was a clause within the original contract that said that the shows couldn't stream anywhere else, or the characters couldn't be used anywhere else for 2 years after Netflix chose to cancel the series. So that kind of, I feel like that kills it for a lot of those series. Those actors aren't going to stick around or wait around for 2 years to get another shot, I don't think.
They might wait around, but there also might be the opportunity when the time comes to take it on as well.
Yeah, a lot of things are going to have to line up for it to come back, I think, more than anything else. And again, more fingers being pointed, and it seems to be Netflix is the ones who killed it this time. Apparently, they were looking to reduce spending and were wanting to shorten the seasons, which would have been better, because it's famously said that a lot of the Marvel shows on Netflix were very bloated and could have done with a bit of editing. So hopefully this is the last we talk about these shows for a while. I think until Punisher comes out and gets cancelled not long after, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, everyone's in a huff and a puff, and then everyone will get over it quite shortly, but then you remember that Punisher's going to come out and then reignite the flames, and then it'll take longer for everyone to get over it once again.
Yeah.
That one's going to hurt the most.
Still haven't watched the first season.
So Legendary Entertainment have made 2 pretty big gets. They've signed signed a deal with Milk-Fed Criminal Masterminds Company, who are founded by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Matt Fraction, to adapt several of their award-winning creator-owned comics, as well as produce exclusive original projects developed by the duo for television across traditional and non-traditional platforms. If you don't know who they are, so Kelly Sue DeConnick is probably most famous for revamping Captain Marvel for the Marvel Comics. It's the Captain Marvel we're going to see in March with Brie Larson. She also writes Bitch Planet, which I know Dylan is a big fan of, as well as Pretty Deadly. Matt Fraction is a long-time Marvel writer, famous more recently for his run on Hawkeye, which got a lot of buzz. But also before that, he did Casanova, a comic series called ODYWW, and currently does a series called Sex Criminals over in Image.
Which is fucking great as well.
Yeah, so are you keen to see some of those being brought over to television? Or at least seeing these 2 work on television projects?
Sure am. I don't no idea what they're doing. It'll be nothing like anything they've done before, but they're both interesting writers who have...
What project do you think they're most likely to bring?
Something that has a underlining political message, or, something along those lines is what it'll be. There will be themes of stuff in it. It won't just be fun. Everyone's like, these comic writers, these fucking comic writers are going to come over, they're going to make a great comic show. It's like, no. All of these, both of them write stuff that's fun and exciting, but at the same time, they always put messages, or, try and write about more serious stuff under their storyline. So that also, to me, means exciting, good show with cool characters and whatever else, more than just fun bullshit.
Cool. And then the other big get for Legendary, they signed a 3-year deal, which is apparently in the 8-figure range, so about over $10 million, for Brian K. Vaughan to again write, to create new titles for film and television, and also adapt his previous work. If you don't know who Brian K. Vaughan is,
you haven't read any comics.
Yeah, pretty much. He wrote Why the Last Man, one of the best comic series of the last 50 years. Currently writing Saga is probably the best comic currently been written, arguably, or at least the most popular. Also writes Paper Girls, did Ex Machina, and created The Runaways. I think this is, that's a huge number, over $10 million for a guy who's currently not writing 12 issues of Saga a year. It's interesting, at the very least. Of course, Why the Last Man is currently in production at FX, so it's unlikely he'll be too involved with that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Paper Girls adaptation, possibly. I don't think we're going to see a saga, as much as people want to see it happen. I think he and Fiona Staples have said previously they're not going to do anything. They initially didn't want to do anything, have it adapted at all, but they've sort of come around on that idea and won't until the series is finished. Which makes sense.
Which isn't going to be for at least another year and a half to 2 years.
I don't know. They're taking another break, so yeah, that's huge news, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'd rather them hire. I quite like the idea of. I mean, really, what it shows you instead of just being like, they're hiring comic writers to translate the comics into TV shows. To me, it's just, hey, they're hiring writers that happen to be mainly known as good comic book writers to just come over and be creative leads in TV shows. So they're not just treating them as comic book writers; they're just treating them as good creative types. You know, for all three people I was just talking about. So, I think it's a lot of money, but at the same time, if it was some really popular or famous Broadway fucking writer or something, everyone would just be like, makes sense. More so than it's just got the comic book baggage, I suppose, that people look still down on a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. So they recently announced the Blacklist. So if you don't know, this is a industry thing where they get all the unproduced screenplays and sort of a lot of executives go over them and they vote and stuff, and they come up with a list of the best unproduced films, scripts of the year. So we're going to revamp a segment that was poorly received and poorly executed. This is going to be called Would You Want to Invest? So I'm going to list the top 10. I'm going to give the descriptions of the top 10. You tell me, will you fully invest, partially invest, or pass? You could have any reason for investing or passing. Do you think it's going to be good critically? Do you think it's going to make a lot of money? Or is it just going to be a turd? So,
I understand the rules of the game. Do I pass?
Do you understand, Nick?
Yes.
All right.
Can only invest in a certain amount of movies.
No, you can invest as much as you want. And then history will be the judge of whether you did well or not.
Yeah, it makes it way more complicated. You got $200,000 each. Now you can invest a certain amount of months. If you partially invest, you're going to have an income of 0.45% per year.
Fantasy box office game.
All right. The first film with 36 votes was Frat Boy Genius by Alyssa Karasik. A disgruntled employee of Snapchat tells the rise of her former Stanford classmate, preeminent douchebag, and current boss, Evan Spiegel.
Pass.
Yeah, no, pass. And that was the top voted.
That was the top. Yeah, so it must be
fucking hell.
Pretty good script. Next up, King Richard by Zach Balin. The true story of Richard Williams, the hard-nosed and uncompromising father of tennis prodigies turned superstars Venus Williams and Serena Williams.
Invest.
Yeah.
Is it meant to be like a biography film?
Yeah, I suspect it will be.
Yeah, it sounds like it's
biopic.
It's a biopic.
I guess there's a market for tennis.
Oh, fuck yeah, there is.
Father documentaries.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
right, I'll put you down for partial invest.
Yeah.
Next one is called Get Home Safe by Christy Hall. A young woman must get home by herself on Halloween with no cell phone battery.
She's
and
fucked.
a group of Gamergate trolls out to get her.
Invest.
It's a story that must be told.
I can imagine the controversy around this, and people will go see it because of that. So yeah, invest.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm being smart with my money. Invest. Also, it may sound silly, but I feel like it could be turned into a legit. I feel like you could make it legit.
Next one up is Drudge by Cody Brodder. The story of how oddball internet reporter Matt Drudge broke the Lewinsky scandal and nearly took down a presidency, all from a desktop computer in his one-bedroom apartment in Hollywood.
Hard invest.
Yeah.
Who's directing this fucker?
Well, nobody.
Tom Hanks is starring.
Aaron Sorkin.
Tom
Aaron
Hanks the
Sorkin's
star.
writing it. Tom Hanks is starring. Spielberg's directing. We got the fucking post-sequel coming up here, everyone. We're in. Give it to us.
What'd you say, Nick?
I just feel like I should just invest in all of these.
You should, possibly. Well,
Nah.
you won't be judged for like 12 to 24 months.
Adam
Let's see if
McKay's
these even get
directing it.
made.
I've got
Let's
it.
if it
Adam
gets
McKay.
made. Well, then you lose all your money.
Yeah, I like the newsroom. Yeah, I'll invest.
Yep. Okay. Next up, Harry's All Night Hamburgers by Stephen Desmond
Invest.
and Michael Anthony Sherman. A down on his luck high school senior discovers that the old roadside diner outside of town is secretly a hangout for parallel universe travelers. He sets off on a mind-bending adventure across the multiverse that takes him beyond his wildest dreams.
Partial
So-
invest.
Bill and Ted's.
Yeah, that sounds promising. Next up, Promising Young Woman by Emerald Fennell. Still hurting years later from the suicide of her mistreated best friend, a woman is torn between seeking vengeance on the lost friend's behalf and moving on with her life.
Pass.
Yeah, pass.
I'm not investing in anything that's going to make me sad.
Cobweb by Chris Thomas Devlin. Peter has always been told the voice he hears at night is only in his head, but when he suspects his parents have been lying, he conspires to free the girl within the walls of his house.
Fucking go again.
Peter has always been told the voice he hears at night is only in his head, but when he suspects his parents have been lying, he conspires to free the girl within the walls of his house.
I feel like I've seen a movie like this before.
The Jack Black one. It was called The House with the Walls with the House in it. The House with the
No,
Voices
it's that.
with the Walls in
This
it.
is that episode of The Simpsons for the Treehouse of Horrors, with his twin brother in the
Simpsons has done
attic.
everything. Partial invest.
I don't know enough about it.
I'll go partial
Is it going
invest.
to be a
off the
horror?
synopsis.
Is it going to be something else?
Yeah.
Look, I'm
could be
investing if
anything.
it's a horror movie. That's what I'm putting it. I'm coming in as a producer saying I'm putting my money down. Is this a horror movie? No, it's a comedy. Get the fuck out of here. It's a horror movie. It's serious. It's about some fucked up shit.
You're
Partial
going to
invest.
get A24 into this.
Yeah, got it. It's Hereditary.
Yep.
2 next year. Hereditary 2020.
Invest.
Next up is The Worst Guy of All Time and the Girl Who Came to Kill Him by Michael Waldron.
Invest.
Barrett is a social media influencer, the worst guy ever, and the eventual president of the United States. Dixie is a badass freedom fighter, sent back from 2076 to kill him before he takes over the world and ruins the future. They fucking hate each other, then they accidentally fall in love.
Oh my god. I'm taking my money back.
That sounds brilliant. I want to see this.
It sounds like a Trump movie.
Pass.
Oh, you're both crazy. Next one's called Analytica by Scott Conroy. It's apparently the true story of Chris Wiley and Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge
Can't be the
Analytica
true
is
story
a
when you don't know the full
political,
story.
a British political consulting firm. So yeah, read
Pass.
into that what you will.
Pass.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The Broodmare by Michael Voyer. When a recovering member of Alcoholics Anonymous decides to make amends with his high school sweetheart, he soon realizes that her newfound love of equines may have some darker and more sinister connections.
Oh, it's a bestiality film. Invest.
Pass.
It's going to be on the level of like Sodom and fucking a Serbian film.
Right. Well, go over 10. There's a couple more I want to read about. The longtime it's called Covers by Flora Greason. The longtime assistant of a famous singer must navigate the rocky waters of the LA music scene to make her dreams of producing music a reality.
Pass.
Pass.
Next we have The Biscuit by Jack Was. In 1998, a teacher and her veteran husband find a way to afford the family they've always dreamed of by selling America's nuclear codes after President Bill Clinton loses them.
Invest.
Oh, invest, yeah.
So weird. I think this will be the last one that we do. Just the Facts by Kenny Kyle. The riveting true story of AJ Derulo's meteoric rise from obscure sports blogger to editor-in-chief of Gawker Media during the wild, heady early days of digital journalism's boom, culminating in the Hulk Hogan sex tape trial, which brought about the Gawker's downfall and set a precedent for billionaires to attack the media and free speech.
Oh my god.
Invest. I like biopics.
Well,
Or
Nick.
true stories stuff, I guess. So invest. Adam McKay's directing this one too.
He's going to be a busy dude. What do you think, Nick?
Pass.
Pass. All right. Who do you think they get to play Hulk Hogan?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
He needs money that bad, he'll play
Oh,
himself.
man.
Or The Rock.
John Cena.
John Cena is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your heel turn that's already happened.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let's move on to the next segment of the show. Dylan, what did we end up watching this week?
Elf.
Let's recite the code of the elves, shall we?
The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
Buddy's discovering who he really is.
You're not like the rest of us. I was sure when you cracked 6 feet that it would come up.
My bad.
You're not an elf.
Now, he's taking a journey to find the family he's never known in a place where he finally fits in. Boy. And nothing's going to stop him.
Sorry, your car's pretty.
Will Ferrell is Elf.
Directed by Jon Favreau. From Iron Man fame.
It's crazy that, yeah. Of Swingers fame, Jon Favreau. Directed...
Because that's what he's most known for.
That is what he's most known for, I think. Starring Will Ferrell,
Zooey Deschanel.
Zoe Deschanel, Scott Caan, and a bunch of other people just popping up.
James Caan.
James Caan.
James Caan, that's what I said.
Bob
wasn't it?
Newhart. No, you said Scott or someone.
You said Scott Cam.
Scott Caan.
Which would have been a very different movie.
I mean, it could have been. And Bob Newhart. That's an important person to mention.
Yeah.
After inadvertently wreaking havoc on the elf community due to his ungainly size, a man raised as an elf at the North Pole is sent to the US in search of his true identity. I made an executive decision because Nick hadn't seen Elf before.
I had not.
This is a film from 2003, kickstarted Will Ferrell's career, kickstarted Jon Favreau's career, seminal Christmas movie to many people. Nick, this week, this episode, did you write a hashtag Nick's mini review?
I did not. Just to round out the year.
He's on holidays for hashtag Nick's Mini Reviews. He's like, can't be bothered anymore. They're too much work.
It's not that it's too much work. It's that,
Too many characters.
yeah. Bring it back to 140. I'm back on the 140 train.
Well, just
You
fucking
can
write
self-edit.
140
You
then.
don't have to use all the characters. All right, what do you think of the
Jesus.
film, Nick?
Before I'll let you know what I think, how old were both of you when you first saw this?
I would have been... I'm the youngest, obviously, so I was actually a kid. I would have been like 11 or 10, probably.
I'm pretty sure I saw it in cinemas, so I would have been in about 15.
I watched it when I was 28, and it does not work when you watch it first as a 28-year-old. I could not wait for this movie to be over.
Is it worse than A Field in England?
No, it's not that bad. It had funny moments, but most of it just was very cringy for me. I can understand I probably would have liked it as a 13-year-old when it came out, but watching it for the first time now, just, no.
But as a Christmas movie?
No.
No. Okay.
I've seen a lot better Christmas movies than this.
Name 3.
Santa Claus. The way the Ernest Saves Christmas. Love Actually.
Saves Christmas.
I love Ernest Saves Christmas. I love all the Ernest
You're
movies.
like, what's better than Elf? A fucking Ernest film.
See, I think Christmas movies are a lot about when you see them.
Yeah, Christmas time. You're watching this at Christmas
No,
time.
no, I mean as in like when you are in your point of life.
You first experience it.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
This is a great movie, and you're wrong.
I don't. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it hasn't aged particularly great. I think the thing is we've seen Will Ferrell play this role, a similar role, several times.
Yeah, that's
The
probably
Oblivious
another-
Idiot. He plays
Yeah.
it in Talladega Nights. He plays it in a bunch of other things that I can't think.
Yeah, but I
He
saw
play-
this first. So maybe I just hold this because it was like one of the first things. This was probably the first thing I ever saw Will Ferrell in. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, probably. Surely. I can't think of any other thing I would have seen him in before I watched
Yeah.
this. So, this
Old
is my-
School probably, but that might have
Nope.
been.
I did not watch that till a while after because, as I just said,
Zoolander?
I was 10
But he
or
only had,
11.
like a tiny bit in Zoolander.
I don't think my parents would let me watch Zoolander either.
I want to say Anchorman was the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, but he had that scene-stealing role in Austin Powers' Man of Mystery.
That's true.
That,
but
that would have been the first time that
I
ever
might
saw
have
him.
watched that before this, actually, but I would not have known it was him.
Yeah.
I
So
wouldn't
this is
have
probably
put-
his. I think this is his second lead role. So
I think it's funny. I still found it funny last night. I think and I've watched it a lot, and I mean a lot. I think I've watched it nearly every fucking year at some point over the period of the last like 10 plus years. So I've watched it a fair bit, and I think it just holds up. But I as we just went over, watched it as a kid, so it's just like a comfort Christmas movie that I did watch as a kid, so I can just put it on and I know what's going to happen, and I know most of the lines and I know all the jokes, but it's still funny to me, and I think it's your typical Christmas movie, you know, like what it comes down to is making the fuck work and be with your family and the spirit of Christmas, love one another, all that, your typical stuff, but it still hits all the boxes, and Will Ferrell is the elf who's just like putting syrup into his cereal, and there's also a lot of
into his
jokes in here that
spaghetti.
are for adults that I find so funny considering it's a kid's movie, like when he gets drunk, and
yeah.
like there's even a joke at the start where he's talking to the animated snowman, which every time I watch this movie I'm still like, this movie's so weird when it starts, like with the animated characters and all sorts of things like that. When he's talking about that snowball, he's like when I was and he uses like the scientific word for a floating cloud or something like that, and I was floating around as a cloud ball up in the sky and all sorts of things. Like I'm like, these jokes are in here for adults, and then but yeah, Will Ferrell's funny. His physical humor's funny. The part where the kid's like, how are we going to put the star on a tree? He's like, I got it. And then he just runs backwards and like launches himself at the tree. That still makes me still makes me laugh. So yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a good Christmas movie. I think for a lot of people my age as well, it's kind of become a Christmas classic in some degree.
I know people who watch it religiously every single year. So
yeah.
Kind of like me, how I watch that Mr. Bean Christmas episode every year.
See, I watch the Santa Claus every year usually. Like I usually watch the Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. That's my like go-to. But I also grew up watching that because it used to be on TV when I was a kid from like 6 to 10ish or like 6 to 12ish or something like that. I'm pretty sure they had the first Santa Claus movie on Christmas Eve every year for those several years running, and then they stopped putting it on Christmas Eve, and I ended up having to do it myself every year. And I've kind of kept that up as a tradition. I hit most years, apart from if I'm like really busy at work or something. Mostly watch that, but I usually watch Elf at some point if it's on TV, or I chuck it on in the background at some point because it's comfort Christmas movie. So when it was like, what Christmas movie should we watch for the show? Elf. I'm like, well, that's fucking easy.
yeah,
I'm happy to watch Elf again.
it's. I'm happy there's
I'll
not a
likely
sequel
never
to it.
watch it again.
I'm happy that Will Ferrell has refused to do another.
I am too, because it would
Me
be
too.
fucking terrible.
It would be.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the biggest shock this movie gave me was seeing Zoe with fucking blonde hair.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was just I'd never seen it before, and it just shocked me.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I think I'll survive.
Okay, good.
I think the crazy thing is this is 2003. This is 6 years before she actually gets big. She's great in this, I think. which is very
She doesn't
funny.
have much to do, but
Great voice.
she's good.
Yeah. I mean, it there isn't much to do. She just has to react to Will Ferrell being an idiot.
Pretty much.
But did you at least laugh during the scene where she's fighting the fake Santa? You sit on a throne of lies.
Like I said, it had its moments that I enjoy, but it's just the parts in between the jokes just dragged for me. I didn't. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like it brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Nick, where can people berate you for your opinions on Elf?
I'm not going to give you that now.
It's at Lord N. Pryor on Twitter. LODRNPRIOR. Be nice. But let him know he's wrong. Dylan, where can people find you? To talk about other Christmas movies.
Yeah, that's right. Viva Dill on Twitter. VIVALADIL.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. If you want to tell us what Christmas movie we should watch next year, tweet us. It's at ExplosionPod on Twitter. Or send us an email at mail@explosionnetwork.com. We'll file it away. I'll leave a notification to pop up Christmas season next year. I assume that's a thing that we can do. If you want to help us out, you should head over to twitch.tv/explosionnetwork. We do the occasional review discussion. We do the occasional after show for a TV series, like we just did for Fish Fingers and Custard as part of season 11 of Doctor Who. We will be back for the New Year's special in a couple of weeks. Or you can always see those sort of things later over at youtube.com/explosionnetwork. Just hit that subscribe button so you always see our videos pop up. It's good. Most of the time. And also head over to explosionnetwork.com. Especially in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching our best of 2018 coverage, which will culminate in us doing our best of 2018 episode of What Do You Want to Watch in 2 weeks. We'll be doing our top 10 movies, top 10 TV shows, and some number of online content. I don't know. It's hard to nail down whether he'll come up with a top 10 list. I think 10 is a high number. I think he likes half of that.
Nick, do you have a personal top 10 movies list? I've got 4. Nick, do you have a personal top 5? Do you have a personal top TV show list? I've got my top 5 half-hour segments of separate TV shows. Okay, well, like me and Ash have top 10 lists, but you do what you need to bring to the show.
Yep. Tune in next episode. It'll be interesting. And I guess if you really, really want to help us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or if you can't type for some reason, your hands are full because you've got holding all your presents, just let people know about the show. Just write it on your Christmas cards.
Yeah.
Love you. Merry Christmas. From Dave. P.S. Listen to What Do You Want to Watch? It's kind of amusing sometimes. Alright, until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
It's a merry time of the year, and it's also a great time to start celebrating the best that 2018 had to offer from movies, games, and much more. Starting from the 24th of December through to mid-January, we'll be uploading top 10 lists for video games, movies, TV, music, and online media, with special episodes of Top 5 to break down the top 5 of each separate category and why we picked them and what we love about them. We'll also be releasing some more specific categories within each of those, like top 5 songs to pair with our top 10 albums lists, and discussing those on a separate bonus episode of top 5 as well. Then we'll have a special end of year episodes of Arcade Couch, Platinum Explosion, What Do You Want to Watch, and Early Late Nights, along with a bonus Bevan Beats to give you a plethora of best of 2018 content to listen to, read, and peruse at your own pleasure. Stay tuned to explosionnetwork.com/best of 2018 and our social medias on Twitter at ExplosionPod and Facebook.com/ExplosionNetwork to make sure you don't miss a thing. Happy holidays, everyone.
Can't believe you didn't like Elf.
No. I kind of expected it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. I was halfway through this. I'm like, Nick's probably not going to like this.
Yeah.